What truly concerns me is the lack of growth in the UK economy, and it's alarming that the government seems to be doing nothing about it. Keir Starmer has gone silent, and his timing couldn't be worse. His party is tangled in scandal, with MPs accepting perks from wealthy donors while preaching about integrity. Meanwhile, Richard Tice is slamming Labour for their hypocrisy, calling them out for allowing the economy to stall while public confidence nosedives. As Starmer dodges the media, we're left wondering, has he lost control of his party, or is he just hiding from the backlash? The Chancellor's career is in shambles, and the leader of the Scottish Conservatives looks utterly defeated. Richard Tice hasn't held back in pointing out Labour's contradictions. He went straight for the absurdity of politicians like Keir Starmer needing to publicly declare that they actually paid for their own suits. Just think about that for a second. A party that campaigned on a platform of integrity and accountability now finds itself in a position where its leader has to assure the public that he's not taking free clothes. It would be laughable if it weren't so embarrassing. This is the same Labour Party that promised to clean up politics. Yet here they are, caught accepting freebies from wealthy donors. Recently, the British Prime Minister found himself embroiled in a fresh scandal, failing to declare gifts given to his wife by a Labour Party donor. And despite the uproar, Starmer has suggested he'll continue to accept gifts from this donor. Labour tried to defend themselves by claiming that everyone does it, but that's hardly the defense one expects from a party that swore to be the moral alternative to past corrupt governments. Richard Tice was right to highlight this hypocrisy. Labour ran on promises of transparency, yet now they're knee-deep in the very corruption they once condemned. It's astonishing. Keir Starmer has practically vanished. He doesn't want to face any interviews, doesn't want to speak to the public. The only time we'll see him is on Wednesday morning when he's apparently going to give a speech. But really, what's left to say? Rachel Reeves will give her speech before that, and she'll tell us all how tough things are going to be for everyone, except them, of course. Starmer's disappearance speaks volumes. He seems to be hiding from the media, refusing to address the chaos within his party. The only time he's agreed to show his face is for a damage control interview. But will it be enough? People are beginning to wonder if he even knows how to manage his own party anymore, especially in the wake of scandals involving freebies and broken promises. Richard Tice has openly questioned whether Starmer still has control of Labour at all. One Labour MP has even voiced her disgust over these donations. The big question remains, does the Prime Minister actually have control of his party? And what kind of leader disappears when their party is in the midst of scandal? Starmer's silence is louder than any speech he could give right now. It feels like he's running away from the problems, hoping they'll blow over rather than stepping up to clean up the mess. Labour was supposed to be the party of integrity, but now they're tangled in controversy over free clothes from donors and broken promises about transparency. Meanwhile, the economy is in a downward spiral. We've been told to brace for tough times, and as Parliament reconvenes, Labour is under immense pressure to clarify its plans, especially regarding potential cuts to benefits, like the winter fuel allowance. Richard Tice hasn't minced his words when addressing Labour's handling of the economy. He's accused them of dragging the economy down and creating an atmosphere of uncertainty that's crippling business confidence. It's as if Labour can't stop themselves from painting a grim picture of the future. And the result? Businesses are hesitant to move forward, holding back on investments because they're unsure of what's coming. The delays, particularly with the budget, have left the entire country in a state of limbo. Tice pointed out that it's not just hesitancy. Businesses are completely frozen. They're waiting for the budget before making any significant moves, and Labour's procrastination is only making things worse. Labour's infamous net zero policy is another example of their out-of-touch approach. The idea that the government can force people to switch from gas boilers to heat pumps or electric cars without any practical plan is utterly absurd. Imagine trying to replace over 20 million boilers across the UK overnight, financially crippling for millions of people. And Tice makes a valid point. Labour seems to have no grasp of the realities faced by everyday citizens. The cost of implementing this plan would be astronomical, and homeowners who are already struggling with the cost of living would be hit the hardest. Labour is pushing for a massive shift to electric vehicles, but Tice has been quick to highlight the glaring flaws in this plan. While Labour is fixated on reducing the number of petrol and diesel cars, they've ignored the consequences this will have on UK car manufacturers. It's not just that the infrastructure isn't ready to support this transition. British car makers are being backed into a corner. They can't sell enough petrol and diesel cars anymore, and they're penalized if they don't sell enough electric vehicles. Meanwhile, Chinese manufacturers are stepping in to fill the gap, selling cheaper EVs and taking advantage of Labour's unrealistic targets. It doesn't stop there. Richard Tice hasn't hesitated to criticize Labour's handling of the public sector, particularly in education. One of the worst policies, in his view, is Bridget Phillipson's decision to apply VAT to private school fees. This move will push nearly 100,000 students back into an already overburdened state school system. The chaos this will create is unimaginable. Schools that are already struggling with resources will be forced to absorb thousands of new students without any plan in place to handle the surge. The policy will also disproportionately affect children with special education needs. These children are already at a disadvantage, with limited access to the resources they need, and Labour's decision-making will only make their situation worse. Tice pointed out that Labour has demonstrated a shocking lack of foresight. They're introducing policies that might look good on paper, but they completely ignore the real-world impact on students, teachers, and parents. And it's not just education. Labour's incompetence is apparent across the public sector, with their net zero push showcasing how out of touch they are with the struggles of ordinary citizens. In education, Labour's policies will stretch teachers to the breaking point, increase class sizes, and lower the overall quality of education. Richard Tice wasted no time in pointing out one of the most troubling aspects of Keir Starmer's past: his time as head of the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS. During his tenure, Starmer was involved in high-profile cases, some of which have left a stain on his record. Tice highlighted several examples, including the CPS's failure to prosecute individuals like Mohammed Al-Fayed and Jimmy Savile. Despite serious allegations of sexual abuse, the CPS under Starmer's leadership chose not to pursue charges in these cases. These decisions have left many questioning his ability to lead, particularly when it comes to holding powerful figures accountable. In one case, a 15-year-old girl accused Al-Fayed of sexual assault, yet the CPS decided not to prosecute despite the evidence presented. And under Starmer's watch, Jimmy Savile's horrific crimes went unpunished during his lifetime, with the full extent of his abuse only coming to light after his death. Starmer has since claimed that the Savile case never crossed his desk, but Tice questioned how such a high-profile case could be overlooked. If Starmer's CPS could mishandle such crucial cases, what does that say about his leadership abilities today? It's a question worth asking, and one that Richard Tice doesn't shy away from. Let's tell about your thoughts in comments below. Please subscribe to the channel for more UK and international content, and thanks for the watching. Take care. Goodbye.